Welcome back to Savagenews News. This is your weekly news recap. I'm going to be doing this every other week, once a month. It really depends on how much stuff has been going on in the game. And right now, there is a lot. Let's dive right into it. All right, first things first, High Seas is coming. June 2nd, we're going to be getting our hands on 256 brand new cards, most likely somewhere around there. There might be some reprints in that guy. And there's 3 pirate-themed heroes, Marlin, Gravy Bones, and Puffin. This set is unbelievably hype. We are already seeing pre-order windows sold out across all of our major Flesh and Blood retailers, right? And I think a big part of this is that the game has been expanding a lot recently, and we have those sick-ass treasure packs in these guys, all right? So I think there's going to be some weird EV with this set, all right? Treasure packs might be worth like 20 to 30% of a box. There's some really rare things in there. I think the hype is at an all-time high. It is going to be really interesting. And now all of the spoilers have been released. Your content creators all across the world have released all of their videos. All of the cards that are in the spoiler season have been shown off, and now we must wait patiently for the world premiere to see the rest of the cards. I'll be doing a whole deep dive on all of the new cards and all that kind of stuff. Once I'm done playing all the new heroes, currently trying to master Gravy Bones, having a wonderful time. He is way more intricate than I really actually thought when I first looked at him. And then we got our pre-releases May 30th through June 8th. Make sure you sign up for those. Those are likely going to be selling out also. And it is a good way to get your hands on some of those early little spoiler cards. It's going to be super fun. You get 8 packs, 12 promo. I think there's like a 12 card promo pack, including a cold foil. It's going to be nuts. Go play it. Gravy Bones is really fun. Puffin is really fun. And I haven't messed with Marlin too much, but she's looking pretty interesting. Now, the power level of this set is kind of hard to pin down. The heroes seem intricate. They seem tricky to master. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. I do think the Ranger cards are quite a bit above rate. So Azalea might be pushed quite a bit this next season. She is likely to LL. But the rest of the heroes, I'm not so sure they're going to be dominant forces in the meta for a little bit of time. But we got a bunch of changes to the CC meta that we're going to talk about in just a second. If I had to take a guess, I think Gravy Bones is going to be annoying, just like all illusionists are to big, heavy hitting decks like Guardians. But he does have a lot more hoops to jump through. I don't think he's going to be as polarizing. I do think Marlin might be a tad bit strong. And Puffin, I think she needs a couple more cards, but she seems like a value mechanologist. And mechanologists were already kind of value centric. So I'm not sure. I think power level might be a little bit low. Now, we did get a little bit of a product and supply update here too, and there have been some videos put out recently. You can go see FlukeAndBox talking on Dice Commando stream. A lot of people are talking about this on social media right now, but we have seen that allocations came in 30, maybe 50, 30 to 50% lower than expected. And the pre-orders are going fast. Even major retailers, Channel Fireball, or SCG, right? Sold out. So yeah, the pre-orders are going super fast. It's hard to get your hands on this product. We do know a second print wave is coming, but I have a feeling this set is going to be an expensive set. We did see it with the Hunted. We kind of saw it with Rosetta. Those sets are really hard to get your hands on. And this set looks no different. It's probably likely that LSS could not pivot gears in time for the printing. On top of that, we have the tariffs. On top of that, we have all that stuff going on. Now you have a bunch of people trying to print in not China. So yeah, probably a little bit of a rough time for LSS to try and, last minute adjust after the Hunted release. But hopefully the next set, we're going to see some big improvements. And we've also got the Gravy Bones Armory deck releasing on May 30th. That's also going to be sold out. I have a very difficult time finding that in my local area. It is likely to be sold out across the US. Good luck. I would put my orders in now if you can get your hands on it. All right, now some huge changes. We've got our banned and restricted changes going on right now. So our classic constructed bans are Count Your Blessings, Germinate, and Scepter of Pain. Count Your Blessings was banned because it pretty much was an unfun card. Nobody liked to play against it. And it had an above average impact on lower player level in tournaments. So mostly armories, right? Your armory players were suffering really badly. It didn't really punish pro players because they knew how to deal with it. But at a low level, Count Your Blessings was just basically a free I win button. You would just fatigue your opponent out. They didn't know how to pitch stack. They didn't know how to do tempo plays in the end game. They didn't know any of that kind of stuff. So they banned it. This is hugely celebrated across the community. Nobody likes Count Your Blessings. I'm glad it's gone. It's just annoying, you know. I thought I had some cool things in like Dory. Dory was the one hero I really kind of liked it in just because they're floating resources. But yeah, glad it's gone. Let's leave healing to healing specific heroes in the future, right? Let's give them a little bit more hoops to jump through before they can just pull this thing off. Germinate was banned. Now that is because Florian has been absolutely dominant since the exit of all of the other three major power players in the game. So Germinate was banned because it pretty much was an auto include powerful blue that let you win in the end game. Any hero who ever tried to go long against Florian in this meta would just get absolutely curb stomped at the end of the game. I was truly hoping they would take away some of the Runeblade equipment here, not just Germinate, right? Or some of the more Runeblade like staples, you know, like take away Swarming Gloomveil, take away something that actually will hurt Runeblades overall. But they got rid of Germinate. Now, they also said there's some unreleased card that's going to be coming in the next set that'll help Florian in the long run. So they needed to do something to kind of bring his power level down. We'll see. Is this enough to dethrone Florian? Probably not, right? He's just so defensively powerful, and it seems like he's getting another card. But it will slow him down a lot, and I think that is really, really important because he is going to skyrocket out of this game if he continues on this trajectory. And then we also saw Scepter of Pain banned because it was just annoying. It's very good in Florian, especially with the Elementi, with the Millennium Tree, right? You can just ping your opponent, make an ungodly amount of rune blades, and then continue on with your life. Florian has more defense reactions than pretty much any other hero in the game because he's a rune blade and because he has earth cards and because why not? So it basically let him just stall the game out, do whatever he wanted, make a million rune chants and kill you. And they thought it was a little bit uninteractive in a late game loop scenario. So boom, banned. Blitz ban, Channel Lightning Valley, Count Your Blessings, Flicker Wisp, Storm Striders, right? So Aurora and Wizard always dominate. I mean, Rune Blades and Wizards always dominate Blitz. It is not something new. When you have 20 health, classes that can do more than 20 damage in one hand, of course, are doing very well in that format. So they're trying to slow it down, make it a little bit more fair. And then get rid of Wizards, basically I win no matter what button, right? So that would be Storm Striders. And it should have been banned a long time ago, in my opinion. It's always been a pain in the ass. It's always caused Kano to be like annoying, and they had to ban all of his good cards. Now there's actually a few Wizards doing pretty well. So yeah, it makes sense. Get rid of it. And I kind of hope that they take some of these changes over to Project Blue. I'm hoping Project Blue becomes an awesome format. I hope it replaces Blitz at some level because, you know, Blitz is a little bit too fast, a little too wild, a little too out of control. And then boom, big one, Living Legends adjustments. We got Carrion Husk, Crown of Seeds banned, right? So Chain was an absolute dominant deck in an LL format, and that's a format where Starvo exists. So yeah, he's kind of run a little bit wild right now. They're trying to make Starvo go down a tier again, and then they're trying to take Chain down a tier, right? So Cole, Deadwood Dirge, Succumb to Temptation, restricted to one copy each, just to try and slow down Chain's endgame. And then we saw the biggest thing, right? This is big, not a ban, but Bonds of Ancestry have been unbanned now that Zen has been LL'd, right? This will mean that Katsu might has a chance of becoming a deck again, which is amazing because if you remember, all three of the original heroes, all four of the original heroes in this game are still in it. They have never LL'd, none of them. And Katsu probably has the highest likelihood to LL, I would say, if he was given a little bit of a power boost. So great, boom. Let's let Katsu take some events. All right, I'm pretty excited about it. I think one copy at red isn't really going to do too much, but be prepared to have your hero turned off. Yeah, it's going to be great. Be great. Now, the other half of this ban and restricted announcement comes with a interesting change to the Living Legend system, right? So the first year a hero is out, you get a 0.5 multiplier on their LL points. Then for year 2, it's 1.0, meaning it goes back to normal. And then after year 2, it becomes 1.5. Yeah, I think this is not my favorite change of all time, to be really honest. I don't like the idea of older heroes being put out of the game faster when they're finally good, right? Like Like you give enough support to Reinar right now, Dory right now, Bravo right now, and they're actually competitive. And then they just boom LL out of the game in one season because they're 1.5xing. I don't know. It feels like a cheap way to force hero rotations. I think that's not my favorite. I don't really like that. I would rather you just buff them, please. Just buff them until they're good. Get them out. I understand some of the old heroes are too hard to help. I understand some of them might have like risky hero techs, looking at Reinar. But come on, man. You guys give them one more set, they're finally good, and they LL in like half a ProQuest season because they're going at 1.5 times. I don't know. I find that trash. Nah. All right. Gem now tracks fractional points to avoid rounding artifacts. That's hilarious. Rounding errors have occurred in IT since the beginning of time, so glad they got rid of that. The LL, the Living Legend system, will be a feature format at Worlds. And it will start getting more exposure on the OP calendar, meaning more events for Living Legend will start being scheduled. Great. Now they really need to focus on balancing the Living Legend format if they're going to be making us play this at Worlds. That is my personal thought. It hasn't been very balanced so far, and there are some very oppressive heroes in there. To be honest, what it's really going to happen, I don't know how much I love this because of the diversity issue with the hero representation in LL, but you're just going to take all the best players in the world. They're going to pick the easiest to pilot, best deck, just like normal. They're going to play 3 rounds of it. And it's not really going to matter too much, right? They're just going to Starvo lottery system each other, maybe chain lottery system each other, and then they'll just go on with their day. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good change. It's better than Blitz, that's for sure. But yeah, it needs to be balanced a lot more if we're going to start seeing this at a competitive level, in my opinion. But they did say they're going to be doing that, and they have made a bunch of LL changes today, so hopefully it goes well. And then, the community is looking a little bit shocked about the old hero multiplier on the LL system. It does feel a little bit like a forced rotation mechanic, but I think we'll have to deal with it. Maybe some of the pushback will get to LSS and they'll talk about it one more time. They're prone to listening. And then we had a bunch of ProQuests, battle hardens all around the world, right? So Florian dominated the season as soon as Aurora left. New became second place, and Azalea is very, very close to living legending right now as our top 3 at the end of the ProQuest season, if you get rid of all of the heroes who LL'd, right? And then we had 4 Battle Hardened winners: Minneapolis, Andrew on Kasai, Hartford, Jared on Florian, Tokyo, Rozuki on Florian, and Milan. Lorenzo on New, with 3 Azaleas appearing in the top 8. So all of those big bands that we've been seeing, all the big LLs have really shook it up. Azalea is starting to look like a dominant deck, and Rangers getting a bunch of cards in the next set. So I have a feeling Azalea is the next hero to go. All right. Now let's take a look at the Living Legend snapshot, okay? So before we go over what the current seeding of the heroes is, just want to cover one more time. Runeblades have 5,164 points in LL. Guardians have 4,001. Illusionists, 3,853. Ninjas, Rangers, Wizards, Assassins, Warriors, Mechanologists, and then boom, all the way at the bottom is Brute with 1,210. The only reason I'm saying this right now is to get Brute more buffs. Please. That's it. Ban Blood Rush Bellows. Or Claws. I don't care. But let's give Brute some more love, please. But yeah, we have a little bit of a Runeblade problem right now. Basically, every Runeblade in the game is LLing. Florian's on his way out. Vincent, one of the most detrimental hero texts ever put on a hero, basically giving you an IP at some level, right? If you end up on the defensive side, she only has 3 cards in her hand. She must put 1 in her graveyard every turn. She got 90 points this season. So even the worst Runeblade of all time is on their way out of this game. Interesting to think about. I think Runeblades need to be adjusted at a much heavier level. But right now we did see Dash creep right towards that top. She's at 976. We got New at 954, so she's likely gone. Azalea at 931. And then Florian, dude. Florian at 702, gaining what, 500 and something LL points this season. Absolutely wild. A good thing they nerfed him, right? So likely we're going to see some Dash LLing soon. She only needs a handful of wins, especially because now she's going to be a 1.5 multiplier hero. New Azalea are going to be on their way out, and we'll see what happens with Florian in these bans. All right. And with that, that's all of the news that has happened in the last 2 weeks. It's actually quite a lot. The high C set looks freaking nuts. And I don't know if you guys have played any of those heroes yet, but they're very, very addicting. I'm very excited for it. They seem very convoluted, very hard to execute, super interesting. They don't just do go again. They actually have a lot of hoops to jump through. And the limited set actually looks so thematic, right? The whole macro island landmark, right? Stealing gold from your opponent, doing that whole little mini game, playing with gold, playing with rum, doing all that kind of fun stuff. This set looks actually nuts. It's a little bit unfortunate that it's going to be hard to get, but that is okay, right? We lived through Hunted. We lived through Rosetta. I mean, Hunted is actually pretty much the only set that this has happened to since Monarch, I would say. But we lived through it, and it was fine. And we don't know the final printing numbers. We probably won't for a couple of years. LSS will eventually tell us, but I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. You can still get the product if you really want to, and singles will be available. It is probably the right call to buy singles for this set. Let the freak out happen, and then, go get your shiny cards later, especially if any of these heroes aren't really tippy top. They're not going to be, this is a player's game. It's not really a collector's game that often. So if the heroes aren't good, they'll be cheap. Then you can get them on the cheap. Don't fall for that first month, a hype, right? And then there are quite a few actually conventions going on. If you guys are, interested in getting some of those convention exclusive promos, Gen Cons going on, there's actually quite a few around the world. Check them out. Mastery Pack Guardian, Smash Palace, all that kind of fun stuff is coming out to you very soon, and it's going to be hype. I can't wait to see you guys at the world premiere. Can't wait to see you guys in Las Vegas for US Nationals. Can't wait to see you in Singapore. I can't wait to marvel out my Gravy Bones deck. It's going to be wonderful. Hope you guys have a great time. See you around.